In other news we are tracking, that's back to our top story, where former Toronto Raptor JONTAY Porter has been banned for life from the NBA after a league investigation found he was in violation of league rules. Joining me now is Eric Macramalla, sports legal analyst. Eric, thank you for your time this afternoon. Appreciate it. Your first thoughts on what we are tracking in this case?
This is a really important suspension and lifetime banishment passed down by the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, because if you allow players to bet on games which they're involved in, it undermines the very integrity of the sport. And Adam Silver has never been a commissioner who has shied away from making difficult decisions. His very first day in office, he banned Don Sterling for life, the former owner of the Clippers. And here he takes the right action against Porter.
So let's talk about the crimes committed in detail, Eric. What do we know here?
So the NBA conducted an in-depth investigation, and what the NBA learned is that Porter bet on games, other NBA games. He gave information to bettors about his own health, and in those games, he left the game early because he cited illness. And one of those games, a bettor bet hundreds of thousands of dollars with an opportunity to win $1.1 million. So Porter was actively engaged in betting in NBA games. He was actively engaged in trading information to bettors, and really checked all of the gambling boxes such that Adam Silver had no choice but to ban him for life.
But let me ask you this, Eric. We know that, of course, with betting now being legal, there is indirect sort of pressure, pressure on the game, pressure on the players, pressure on the teams. How much of that really has to play in this sort of, decision that a player may take, which, of course, is criminal in this case?
Well, look, I mean, the reason we have a commissioner in sports is because of the Black Sox scandal in 1919, when the White Sox threw the World Series to the Cincinnati Reds, right? And public confidence was so shaken by betting on the game that the owners got together and said, how do we restore public confidence in the game? And they did that by creating the position of commissioner. At that point, as a retired federal court judge by the name of Kennesaw Mountain Landis was appointed as the first commissioner, first impartial person overseeing the game. So that's the genesis of the position of commissioner. So back then, over 100 years ago, the owners recognized that a massive existential threat to any sports league is betting on the game. Because why do we go to games? Because the outcome is not predetermined or fixed. And once that's brought into question, the entire integrity of a game becomes undermined. So you have to safeguard that. And that's why the NBA Constitution and bylaws, I think it's Section 35F, provide that if you bet on NBA games as an NBA player, you can be banned for life. All four leagues have that language. It's critically important that they have that legal language in place, because the leagues understand that if it's discovered that players are betting on the game, it can destroy the very game. Now, what's interesting is that because betting is legalized in 40 to 50 states, and it's legalized in Canada now, it's more transparent. So you can catch these players when they're betting on the game. It was tougher before when it was done in the shadows. But probably what Adam Silver, other commissioners want in the U.S. particularly, is more of a regulatory framework put into place to be able to deal with this kind of stuff in a far more precise and sharpened way.
Eric, do you believe, you mentioned other leagues as well, other sports as well, it's time for them to be a little more vigilant in the manner in which players behave while they are playing a game?
The NBA monitors everything when it comes to gambling. As I mentioned, it's far more transparent now. So it is easier to do to a certain extent, but even, prop bets now, which are incredibly populous, placing a bet, hey, will a player play more than 5 minutes in the game? A player has a lot of influence on that. Porter pulled himself out of a game 3 minutes in, and that was associated with a prop bet with a payout of $1.1 million. So it is critically important that all of that be monitored. Look, betting now has become normalized by the institution that is sports. And so when it becomes normalized, you have to expect that there'll be an increase or an uptick in these types of matters. And it becomes all the more important that the league, all four leagues, be aggressive in their pursuit of ensuring that players don't bet on the game.
All right. Eric Macramalla, sports legal analyst. Appreciate your time and your insights, Eric. Thank you for joining us.